Good news, everyone!
It's Ciely.
And there's a surprise in your cereal box.
I'm great! Everybody else sucks!
Let's get dangerous.
Yes, sir, random kid I just met!
It's time to check the link.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You know what? You just made the list!
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
What is up, you ducks? It is week 1 of the NFL season. It's here. All that wait of the longest preseason ever, Chris Meaney. It just felt like that with that extra layoff in between and barely anybody playing. But we are here. It is all in football. Over at FTN Plus, you can find Chris Meaney and everything over there. Code ALLIN gets you 20% off. Congratulations again to Jonathan, who won the year of FTN Plus. Already enjoying that. Telling me how wonderful it is. And congratulations if you made it this far, because it's time to set your lineups. You're undefeated as of now. Let's keep it going. Nobody has a loss in the books. We're going to talk week 1 fantasy football rankings. Maybe some sleepers and other types of stuff, but that's what we're going to do every single Wednesday, 10 a.m. And a reminder, if you're listening live and haven't subscribed and you want to listen to it later on, fix that. Still working on Apple. Go send a complaint. Say, you're not working. Like, that's, I bleep myself on that one. Just go tell them it's not working, because we keep trying to get it fixed because people are trying to subscribe and the app keeps crashing. So just send a complaint and say, look, it keeps crashing. That's the only way they want us to respond. They want us to send 1,000 complaints. But if you need to subscribe, the web link actually does work. Chris Meaney, before we even get into week 1 rankings, what's your biggest piece of advice for week 1? Because we always sit here and like, don't overthink it. You drafted these guys in the first, 6th, 7th round. You don't sit them ever. And then we get to week 1 and we're like, well, Raheem Mostert, we're going to talk about. So, like, besides the don't go crazy with who you just drafted, like, why did you draft him if you're just going to bench him? Besides that, do you have any other piece of advice for, like, starting the season fresh?
Not really. I'm not going to come with any hot tips here today, but I think we always say it, like, start your studs. I fully believe that. Like, it is week 1. Like, maybe you want to be cautious with some rookies that you drafted, for example. Maybe you really do like Tank Bigsby. Maybe you really do like, I don't know. I suppose you could maybe be in a situation where you're starting Jonathan Mingo. But sometimes it takes a little bit for some of these rookies, especially running backs and tight ends. So, like, if you have 2 tight ends, maybe you have Kincaid and your other one is Higbee. Yeah, why is a good question.
Well, no, I don't want to jump in.
Your other one is Higbee.
I'm going to put a pin. I'm going to come to back. Go continue. Okay. I'm going to come back to that real quick.
Okay. Well, there's a couple things I want to say off the top of the show. Like, we're in this right now. So the Higbee thing, maybe just because of pure opportunity alone, like not overthinking it. You know, you have a shiny toy in Kincaid, maybe take some time. So that's just one piece of advice. Start your studs. 2, I wanted to shout out all your viewers and listeners for like the patience with this whole iTunes Apple thing. We're getting there. We do appreciate it. And this is the first time that I have been with you since Fox's new intro. I just wanted to say that is absolutely
that's right.
Amazing.
Because you lost power and then like, you have all overlap.
I've been with you for the past couple of weeks. So I've seen it. I've watched you guys, you and Lauren, but it's the first time I've actually great job, Fox.
Chris Meaney is slacking off over here.
Yeah, I really am. So
hardest working man at FTN. It's like, if you can't tell, by the way, on this video, it says by your powers combined, and it is a cow, chicken, and pig turning into a hot dog. There you go.
I think it's the best shirt you've ever worn, and you've had a lot of
seriously
great ones. Like that Fox. Like,
I have
right?
some
that's going to be top 3. That's a.
I don't know. I have a bunch that I haven't worn yet this year. I spent my off season getting in t-shirt shape. That's what I have, about probably 15. Actually, so Nicole's daughter Soph, when she was living with us before she moved back into college, she legitimately looked at me and she said, "You're cut off. You need to stop." Like
stop with the t-shirts?
She just stopped buying t-shirts. And then the day that the buckets opened from the sky and just poured when I was out to lunch, And I was wearing actually a t-shirt of one before. It was a blue t-shirt. It was shout out to Transformers in the rankings this week. It was the one with the tape deck, and it's coming out of the tape deck. It's like caught up in all the tape and everything like that. So I was poured, and while I was walking, some lady yelled at me, and she's like, "I like your nipples through your blue shirt." And so anyway, so I was hanging here wet when I got home because I was letting it dry, and Soph came over to visit, and I went to pick it up, and she's like, "Are you about to show me another shirt? I told you were cut off." Like this.
Stop buying shirts. I'm like, no, don't change ever, Jake. Keep buying shirts.
It's the only thing that keeps me relevant.
Sure. I mean, there's multiple reasons, but
all right. So I do have
comments from random women down the street, so that's okay too.
That's what I thought she was just being crazy. Nicole, my wife, she was flirting with you. I was like, dude, that's a weird way to flirt. I don't think she was flirting with me. I think it was just the fact my shirt was soaked. But
like
anyway,
flirting like Ross.
Yeah, you can't flirt. All right, so my two pieces actually came from what you just said. It's quarterback and tight end. So if you drafted a top 6 quarterback, you should not have drafted a second quarterback, just as advice in general. Like if you have Justin Fields, and the only reason I even saw this is because this was in some of the comments, and I'm not coming for everybody. We're trying to teach you to be better. If you drafted Justin Fields, you're never benching Justin Fields. If you try to overthink it, you should never be playing or never play your other option besides Justin Fields. So you should never draft another quarterback because you just go pick somebody up for the waivers. That's it that week. And then everything else. You stash options that could potentially hit. Like, hey, Sean Tucker is the number 2 behind Rachaad White. What if Rachaad White gets off slow? What if Rachaad White gets hurt? Take flyers there. And then tight end, same thing, but it's also just don't ever draft a second tight end because I know we're trying to get these gambles to hit, but the most frustrating thing is you just mentioned Higbee. I've seen Higbee and Okonkwo. I've seen Higbee and Njoku, Komet and Njoku, Komet and Higbee, like all those. You're just going to be kind of playing this game of like it's a coin flip every single week, and you're probably going to pick wrong half of the time. So instead of just doing that, just start the one dude. Unless it's awful. Like unless Higbee, like Matthew Stafford gets hurt and they're facing the 49ers, then you just drop Higbee and go to somebody else. Like don't make your lineup a headache.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I know a lot of people have asked you to maybe grade their team or take a look at their team, and I've seen.
They've learned. I think I only got 1 this year. They finally learned. Like this is. I'm like, you all get Fs. It only helps the kids. Like whatever. Like it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter what we say. Like I'm not trying to be a jerk, really but if it's like, because if I don't like your team, I'm the asshole, which I usually am anyway. But if I do like your team, well, so what? Congratulations, you did well. Like it means nothing.
Yeah. And it really doesn't mean anything. You could love the team, and it could be a 2-14, squad at the end of the season. But one thing I will say is that when people ask me to grade the teams, I look at the squads and I see a second quarterback almost every single time. And even with somebody that has Fields or even has Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, we've been down that road. We've talked about that, maybe having a second quarterback in that situation. Fine. But these guys are quarterback proof. I mean, Fields proved it last year. He had matchups in Buffalo against New England, 2 top 5 defenses down the stretch of the season, and he was still churning out like 30 fantasy points. So, yeah, start your studs, and most likely that second quarterback, like I saw a team last night with Fields and Jordan Love. Like, that's great. We like Jordan Love as a breakout candidate, but when are you ever going to start Jordan Love over Fields? You're not. You shouldn't. Come bye week, maybe, then just pick somebody else up. I think you said it perfectly. Have these flyers, these next man up running backs. Like it's not too late. Your draft may be done. I took a look at 10 players under 50% owned, and you'd be surprised. Like Jalen Warren, Harris, like these guys. I know people playing shallow leagues, but make sure you have the running back depth, the flyers at wide receiver, as opposed to that second quarterback, and even second tight end.
Yeah, I do 60% on Yahoo, and the names there were absurd. I mean, hell, look at the fact that flex waivers just ran. And granted, it was the super flex league, which knocks everybody down just a spit. But we drafted at the beginning of August, and Marvin Mims was out there. Like that's
right.
So there are options to take those kind of flyers. So let's talk about tight end. Seems to be tight end centric to at least start the show. But we have to talk Travis Kelce. Now, we are doing this Wednesday morning. You might be listening to this later time in your area. And there's a big question of whether he plays in week 1. It's almost sounding more unlikely than likely because it's a hyperextended knee. He has a full 10 days because they play the Thursday night kickoff. If Kelce's out there, it's the same answer I have for Mark Andrews, which Mark Andrews' situation sounds like it might just be management. We could see if he practices today. Sounds like he should be okay. But all points being is that if Kelce and Andrews are even 50, half of what they normally are, Chris Meaney, I'm still starting them. It's Kelce and Andrews. Like, it's the tight end position. But the question we have to this is, let's play a world where there is no Kelce in week 1. One, do you take a shot on Noah Gray? Because it's tight end. Like, why not? Like, why not take the guy who's replacing Travis Kelce, even though watch will be somebody else altogether? Thankfully, I don't think Fortston's on the team anymore. But would you take a shot on Noah Gray over a Juwan Johnson, over a Conquo, over Cole Kmet, and those kind of names?
I wouldn't. I think it makes sense, especially in like tight end premium or two tight ends to play him. But I'm not. This is part of it. Like, I think that's kind of overthinking it a little bit. Sure, maybe he gets a touchdown. I mean, we've seen him get touchdowns.
A touchdown. He gets he's a tight end one.
Yeah, but I would still roll with the other guys. Juwan Johnson, I like. I would still roll.
No,
with
Jody Forston's not there anymore, so it's Blake Bell.
Yeah.
Blake Bell's going to catch 2 touchdowns.
I would roll over these guys. Now, this morning on the WIP morning show, it's in Philadelphia. I don't want to get into this too much, but Jason was talking about Travis, and he said he had a very similar injury. It's just swelling. Everything is good. And now, take this with a grain of salt, but at the end of the clip, I retweeted it. He said that he expects Kelce, his brother, Trav, he calls him, to play. I don't know.
Trav
Kelce. Trav. I don't know if that means he's going to suit up or not. If he plays, I would be playing him. You didn't take him in the first round not to play him. You said it. Andrews, Kelce, play these guys. But honestly, Jake, if I had, and I do have Kelce in some spots, I won't be playing Gray. I'll just be, I don't have anyone at the moment, but I'll be like, Juwan Johnson will probably be available to me, and that's someone that I'll take a look at.
Okay. So continue with that. Does this make you feel better about any? Look, the majority of people who drafted Sky Moore probably have him in consideration as their wide receiver 4. You don't. First of all, you need to draft him earlier than that, where he would be anything higher in your lineup, unless you're playing in a 16-team league or something like that. But Sky Moore is already in the conversation. People are already considering Sky Moore week 1. Sky Moore was actually one of my sleepers this week. Although I changed it from sleep. I'm so tired of sleepers. I have 2 things. Do you want to guess what they're related to, Chris Meaney?
A movie?
No. DuckTales and Darkwing Duck. It's woohoo worthy. Woohoo worthy for the woohoo worthy, and then Let's Get Dangerous. Those are like the Hail Mary picks. So there you go. Have some fun with it.
And I like to get dangerous, so I might like some of your options.
Yeah, 100%. Which apparently somebody said that's trying to be like Matthew Berry. Like, okay, sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like that. That's thanks for the party, pal. Anyway, continuing with this, would you play no Kelce? Would you consider MVS or any of the other wide receivers in the Chiefs? Because we've got the word that Justin Ross and Rashee Rice are going to be packages, and we got word that Kadarius Toney will play, but what amount of volume will Kadarius? So is it any else? I'll consider MVS. I've been considered MVS anyway, but is there anybody else for you?
No, I don't think so. I would definitely consider MVS too. We talked about him. He's going to be on the field. He's just a guy that stays on the field. So that's very, very valuable, especially when you're going to lose the number 1 target.
Right?
Jerick McKinnon as like a flex. I would consider him if you weren't thinking about him in a full point PPR league. Maybe he catches a couple passes.
I was considering anyway, because what kind of usage are we going to see from Pacheco in the first game? I know it's a terrific matchup, high scoring game. Detroit Lions defense, which arguably should be better, but still isn't going to be a top 10 world beater. Like, I want to play Pacheco, but at the same time, I think the answer is Jerick McKinnon, at least for week 1.
I think so too, especially when, like, even if Travis Kelce does suit up, this is clearly not going to be 100%. But we've seen games last year. There were multiple games where Jerick McKinnon was second on the team in catches and receiving yards. He was actually right there with Travis Kelce. We know that in terms of like pace tools and pass percentage, the Chiefs are up at the top. Like last year, over I think 59% of the time this team was throwing, and they're throwing a lot inside the red zone. That's why McKinnon had 9 receiving touchdowns. So I would definitely consider him. MVS, I think in deeper formats, I would maybe go with like a Rashee Rice instead of a Kadarius Toney, or a Ross instead of a Kadarius Toney. I don't know if you're in a 20-team league, you're doing Richie James.
Well, so let's get to the next game, and I'll put it this way. The Carolina wide receivers. DJ Chark is back. DJ Chark is a top 2 wide receiver for the Panthers. That being said, Jonathan Mingo's pushed himself into the conversation, although now, because of this, it's Adam Thielen, then Mingo / Chark. So, who do you start between Chark and Mingo? Or do you just avoid this until we see what happens? I think that's the easy answer, but if you had to start one.
That is the easy answer. I think that I would lean with Mingo, honestly. Maybe there's a setback with Chark. I don't know. Mingo's been on the field. So that's the biggest thing for me. He's on the field. He's catching passes from Bryce Young. He's healthy at the moment. I get it. Chark's back. Maybe they were just being super cautious with him, but
okay, then
that guy's had multiple injuries. I wouldn't be shocked if he pulled something early. Like, I just don't want to go down that road week one. I know you guys may be in a tough situation. It's all about context, but I'm not interested. As for Sky Moore, his receiving yard prop, I saw 38.5 opened up. It's climbing up to 50. So this guy is really jumping up at the moment. And we have him projected for roughly 45 yards. It's not a bad little play.
There you go. So let me go back and circle and kind of attack 2 wide receivers with this question then. Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Jonathan Mingo week 1. You have to make the decision on Thursday. You have to make the
Kelce
decision.
Playing?
No, with no Kelce.
Okay. I'll go MVS. It's the
Okay.
Chiefs.
But if Kelsey's
50
playing, you
point total.
would wait for Mingo?
I think so.
It's at Atlanta. Here's my concern about
Atlanta.
that. It's Atlanta, which I'm not worried about their defense, although it's better. It's not trash, but like they're gonna run the ball 8 billion. Like that game might be over by 2:30. Like this is just like, hey, by the way,
and I'm surprised.
It's halftime, except for the Atlanta game's over.
Yeah, I get it. Everybody wants to play Bijan Robinson in DFS. I think he's going to be the chalkiest play, but I agree with you. I think it's going to be a whole lot of running. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot. They're going to keep things simple on Carolina's side, and we know what Atlanta
Miles
wants to do.
Sanders.
They're just going to run the rock all day long. So, I mean, Bijan's obviously a must start, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, then let's stay in that game.
Yeah,
Bijan's a must start. Are Drake London and Kyle Pitts must start? Kyle Pitts, for the cost, I feel like you have to stay. And the upside, it's tight end. You're starting Kyle Pitts just because it's Kyle Pitts, even though he didn't look like 100% this entire preseason. Maybe he's just taking it slow, hopefully. But is Drake London or I'm trying to think of a good one for Drake London. Drake London or the returning Michael Thomas in week 1?
Oh, baby, you got to play Michael Thomas.
Do you?
Got to play Michael Thomas. I mean, he's only going to be healthy for the first couple weeks of the season, so you got to get him in there. He's a top 12 wide receiver when he's on the field playing. I would actually lean Michael Thomas against the Titans. I think, no Kamara, Jamal Williams doesn't look like Kendra Miller. I think the Titans defense has some issues, but they've been one of the better run defenses in football over the past couple of years. So part of those numbers
their pass defense is
teams
trash,
throwing all over them.
I know.
So I would.
Is this like a chicken or an egg thing? It's like their secondary is filled with a bunch of dudes like me, and then it's like, well, why do we even need to run?
Why would we run when we can just throw all over these guys? And maybe I'm playing. Maybe that's a little bit too cute, but I think those guys are pretty close to me. Michael Thomas and Drake London, Kyle Pitts. I read something in the Athletic. I forget who the beat writer was. Just kind of down on him, and Arthur Smith down on him. But it's still very, very early, and some of these coaches they're not rolling out a lot of their young pieces in preseason and in camp. Some guys didn't even touch the field, so be okay.
All right.
I think Higbee's a better play this week than Pitts, though.
Oh yes, I think Higbee's a smash play, but look. It has not even anything to do with Cooper Kupp. It's actually Matthew Stafford. Like 3 of his 4 double-digit target games were with Matthew Stafford. Only one came after that, and the one that came after that was actually without Cooper Kupp. So if you look, he had I think 2 really big stinkers though before Stafford went down and Kupp went down. But still, we're talking about tight end, and I think if you're talking about volume, even with that inconsistency last year, still over 100 targets. Like we're trying to play.
Exactly.
You know what? We're in this game. I was going to save this for later. So then, Rams. Is Van Jefferson a must start for you? I mean, we're assuming there is no Kupp in week 1. It's just whether or not it's Kupp in week 1, week 2, week 3. Like, how long is this going to last? But no Cooper Kupp. Van Jefferson, must start, question mark. Like, Van Jefferson, does he deserve to be in the conversation of Michael Thomas for you?
I think he has to. Man. Like, I think that Seattle's going to score some points. All this Rams team did in the offseason was just get rid of players and good defensive players. And they didn't replace anybody. They didn't bring anybody in. They lost pieces from their pass rush. They lost pieces from their cornerback room. Now they're, without Cooper Kupp for this game. Who are they going to throw the football to? Like, I do believe we've already talked Higbee. He's a smash play. I think this guy could catch 7 or 8 passes.
I like Puka Nacua, but I'm thinking long term.
Long term, this is what I'm talking about with the rookies. Like, yeah, there may be an opportunity for him right away. let's not get crazy and start him week 1, but let's have him on our bench because there may be a larger role for him as a rookie than maybe a lot of other rookies, especially rookies that went
to go to that real
range.
quick. I want to reference something that Chris Welsh brought up when we did the Athletic podcast yesterday. I know we're not talking starters with Nakua, but real quickly, this early in the season, bench stashes like, hey, should I pick up? I have a free spot. Somebody got hurt, blah, blah, blah. Here's something strategically to think about. What happens? Let's say, and this is the question he threw to me, and it's a great question. Kudos, Chris Welsh. Here's the question he said. Adam Thielen goes 5 for 80 and a touchdown in week 1. Puka Nakua goes 5 for 80 and a touchdown in week 1. They both have the exact same stat line. Who goes for more on waivers? It's Nakua by a mile. And not even close. Right. And it's going to be the excitement of what if this is the next blank? What is the next? People will be like, oh, that's Adam Thielen. He's the number one. He's probably having, but that's the thing. Adam Thielen probably go for 15. Nakua go for 40. People will lose their damn minds. And that's what I think is important about picking guys up right now too, is don't pick up, whatever, the guys who think I guess basically talk that through your mind of hey, I'm thinking of picking up these 3 guys. All 3 of them have the exact same box score. What would people do? I think that's how you have to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone wants the new Shiny Toy, the unknown. We know about Thielen. He's good. I mean, he's been a good wide receiver over the last few years. Expect him to probably be the best wide receiver on Minnesota.
Let me take it one step further. I'm not saying pick up Tutu Atwell. I'm just saying Jacoby Myers goes 8 for 70 and Tutu Atwell goes 8 for 70. Tutu Atwell is going to be he's going to take that kind of role. He's just going to be a volume hog the entire. Again, that's super deep, but just another comparison. That one's kind of way out there. But again, I just wanted to paint that picture. I want to point to that picture. I'm just going to stand there, point at that picture.
We're painting pictures again today. And I like it.
I almost went to they had the virtual, who was it? It was one of the famous painters. They did the one here, and it's where it's all on the screen and it moves and stuff like that. And I it's $50-something. And I asked people, I was do you think I should go? I'm not even that big into art, but that seems cool. And they're like, no, It's just basically a slideshow. Just go online and look at the pictures and just put it on slideshow yourself.
Yeah, not a big art guy, but nothing.
Van Gogh.
Nothing against
it was Van Gogh.
Oh,
that's how it was. The Van Gogh display. All right. Let's get back to some of these other ones. Cleveland Browns. I found this interesting. I ranked Donovan Peoples-Jones ahead of Elijah Moore in week 1. I am not.
Oh, baby.
I'm not. There you go. I'm not the common denominator here. I'm the odd man out. And I just go back to this. I love some Elijah Moore. I want him to be the number 2. I love the talent. But he's the number 3 and only playing in 3 wide sets. Could that change? Sure. But similar to MVS, I want the guy on the field. And with how struggling Deshaun Watson has been this preseason, I don't even know if I want the second option. But if I go to it against the Bengals, I'll take a shot. I'll take a shot on a big player or 2 for Donovan Peoples-Jones over Elijah Moore. Am I overthinking that? Or
I don't think so.
Where are you on this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's a lot closer than maybe, the outside.
Oh yeah, it's not
world.
40 players. It's not a huge gap.
Nah, man, the deep threat guy. There was more of a rapport with Deshaun Watson and Donald Peoples-Jones than there was with him and Amari Cooper last year. Amari Cooper had some really good games, believe it or not, with Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback early on.
Well, that's because Jacoby Brissett throws 3 yards at a time. So
Fair.
Amari Cooper was 50 receptions, 32 yards. Thank you.
I think too when. There's the deep threat there, which is nice. He is the deep threat guy in there. Deshaun could lay it out for him. They're going to run the rock with Chubb, maybe do some play action there. So that's intriguing to me, just like MVS, right? Very similar, high ADOT guys. And then once they're in the red zone, it's not really going to be Elijah Moore in the slot. It's going to be Njoku and it's going to be Chubb, or it's going to be Deshaun Watson probably calling his own number. So
that's a great point
I think
too.
We're shooting for upside if you're battling between a wide receiver 4 and I don't know, one guy is just a little slot gadget guy and the other guy's got a huge ADOT and has the ability to have a 50-yard touchdown. Just lean with that guy.
And my concern too is that, as you just mentioned, the second level of it is thinking once they get into the red zone, even inside the 10, with the formations that the Browns will usually run, will involve tight ends, plural. And that means no Elijah Moore. So anyway, I don't hopefully want to play either one of them, but a question you might have about the Jaguars is 2 to play. One is Bigsby even touching any of your lineups in week 1, or is he just that pure stash upside play? That's the first question.
Yeah, just a stash. I have a lot of shares of him. I'm not playing him. The only way I guess you would consider is if you had Kamara and you had Taylor. I don't know, Zeke. I'd probably play Bigsby maybe over Zeke.
Bigsby doesn't even make my top 40.
No, he's just on the bench this week. But I think he's
like I don't even play Tyler Algier, our boy, over him.
He's probably going to get like 8 or 9. I would say he gets.
Yeah, they're going to run
8
the
or
ball 37 and a half times.
Yeah, I could see a scenario where Bijan has 22 carries and Algier has 6 or 7. I could
or
see
8
that.
or 9 or 10.
Yeah, wouldn't be shocked. It could be a rotation for the first quarter. Everybody watches. Everybody's freaking out. Algier gets the first 3 carries.
Oh my God!
Everybody's just losing their mind. I could really see that happening.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but the Falcons officially finally put Robinson atop the depth chart in the backfield.
It took some time, but they had.
Yeah, he really had to show why he was worth that number 1 spot in the depth chart. All right, so continuing in the Jaguars side of things, facing the Colts. So there's 2 ways to look at this. Colts secondary exploitable. So we could be like, yeah, Trevor Lawrence and all 3 wide receivers. The flip side is this Ridley situation's basically made Kirk and Zay rotate as the 2. They've been like coming off it hasn't been any type of consistency. It's kind of something we talked about a few weeks ago. Bigger plays seem to lean Zay Jones, getting the ball out quicker designs, Christian Kirk. Although it's not exclusive because you don't want to give everything away, but they've been there isn't a clear 2, and Christian Kirk, even when they're running 3, has been running out of the slot. He's better out of the slot. That's good for him. All that being said, Christian Kirk and Zay Jones could also be kind of irrelevant because this game could be 20-0 by the second quarter because it is the Indianapolis Colts. It could go crazy. Where are you on starting Zay Jones and Christian Kirk in week 1?
I have Kirk ahead of Zay Jones, even though
I do too, but they're close.
Yeah, they are close. They're really close. I don't view them as wide receiver 3s, as flex, borderline flex for Kirk. I love the matchup. I think the Jags can go toe-to-toe with anybody, even though these guys are going to rotate and it's the first game and they got Calvin Ridley. I think they'll probably still eat. Like, I still feel like the Jags will put up nearly 30 points.
Well, I hope so. You got to keep the blood sugar up.
Got to keep the blood sugar up. Got to eat. Good matchup. Tasty. Rookie quarterback on the other side. A defense that can get after the quarterback. There could be, some turnovers here. The Jags could really be the highest scoring squad on the slate in week 1. So I would lean with Kirk, and just like the fact that he is familiar with the offense, that maybe he's, I've seen me. Do you know what's coming? Do you know what's coming? Do you know what's coming? No, I'm not going for the poop emoji. Christian Kirk versus some other wide receivers. We kind of have a way that we figure these things out every single year. There is a way. There's because there's some names I'm looking at. I'm like, you know what? Maybe Chris Meaney can make me change my rankings. Possibly. Maybe. As we go through some players. How do we do that, Chris Meaney? Do you know? Do you know how we do that? He's do.
Coming up. He's looking.
We make a list.
There he is. Yeah! We make a list. Let's do it.
There he is. All right, let's make a list.
First time of the season. I should probably put him up here by the poop emoji so it's easier to get to Chris Jericho. One of the best ever. Arguably top 5 ever. All right, let's go. Christian Kirk. I'm trying to figure out who I wanted to start. Got myself hung up. Christian Kirk or Mike Evans in week 1 against the Vikings.
I'm going to go Mike Evans.
I would too. I agree with you. All right. Christian Kirk or George Pickens against the 49ers.
That's a tough spot. I do have Kirk ranked ahead of Pickens.
Why was that like an evil laugh? I was like, this is a Christian Kirk or George Pickens. I'm going Kirk.
I have Kirk ahead of Pickens.
Okay. Christian Kirk or Hollywood Brown. We still don't know the quarterback, which, by the way, I said this on Twitter. This is honestly just you wish there was a third option. This isn't they're trying to be coy. They're not tricking anybody in week 1. It's not going to be like, oh my God, they started Josh Dobbs instead of Clayton 2. What are we going to do? No, this is like, man, I really don't want to admit what we have to do in week 1.
Man, you could still get plus 400 on Arizona to be the last team in the NFL to pick up a win. I think that's a good bet. I think this team is like a 1. I think they're going to flirt with 0-17. But I would lean Hollywood there, believe it or not.
Hollywood or Kirk?
Some passes. Somebody had their 7-point dogs against Washington, who's another probably bottom 5 team. So I would lean Hollywood and target.
Does someone have to catch the ball?
Yeah, I think maybe you get 5 complete passes or something. Maybe 3 to Connor. Maybe
what if they go to Michael Wilson? What if Rondell Moore catches 5 for 32 yards because every single pass is 2 yards out?
That's a Rondell Moore stat line that we can predict pretty easily.
We're gonna
Michael Wilson's another guy. Maybe just hang. Chris, please leave Arizona.
I would go Kirk over Marquise Brown just for that. I think Boomer Busty. Boomer Busty. I probably want to say Busty. I think I get flagged by YouTube. Boomer Bust. I would go for Marquise Brown. He is more Boomer Busty. Let's continue down. How about this? Go back to the Colts game. Christian Kirk or Michael Pittman?
I'm going to go with Pittman.
Are you?
Yeah.
Jacksonville defense? By the way, what the hell's up with that line? That feels like the Jacks feel like they should be favored by 8, 10.
I agree. I was looking at some spread picks for a future show here at FTN Network, and that's one that I like. And I was like, is this a trap? I know it's a division game, and sometimes the Colts mess around with the Jags. They find a way to win games, but I think that they're going to beat them by.
I feel like when you do it's a trap, you need to have like the flappy. It's a trap. There you go. Christian Kirk or Jordan Addison in week 1?
I'll go Kirk.
Christian Kirk or Sky Moore?
Ooh. I'm gonna
go Travis Kelce.
I'm going to go Sky Moore.
So I have Travis Kelce in the ranks right now. I have Sky Moore at 36. By the way, this entire order, this is a little hint to everybody out there. If you haven't checked the link, I'm just going straight down my rankings right now. I have Kirk right now, as of right now, at 31. How about 2 more? Christian Kirk or Zay Flowers?
I'm going to go with Christian Kirk.
I have Zay Flowers.
These rookie wide receivers, I
have him the highest of all the Ravens wide receivers, but this is still. So I'm going to. The other one, real quick, was Christian Kirk or Van Jefferson. I'm still going Christian Kirk. I have Van Jefferson. Apparently, I don't know if people just haven't reacted yet, but it's still I have him inside my top 40, and that's the highest by far. I think that's just more people haven't updated, which is part of the reason I hate the ECR stuff. For everybody out there, if you see the rankings, it's expert consensus rank. People don't update all the time. That's why we're out of the competition, gaming the system last year. But anyway, to go back to this with the Christian Kirk thing, with Sky Moore and all these type of players, Zay Flowers is down at 37 behind all of them. He's even behind Sky Moore with Travis Kelce in there because and I did want to talk about the Ravens. It's week 1. We're assuming Zay Flowers could be the most valuable, fits very well with Lamar Jackson. Odell Beckham's healthy as of right now, could be the touchdown guy. Yep. Rashad Bateman's this giant question mark. Mark Andrews should be fine, and he's still the one of all these options. I just think until you see this, and where I'm going to compare it to is going to take it one step further and bring in a whole nother game where I like 2 wide receivers more than anybody on the Ravens, but I think it's a similar scenario, is the Packers. So people are like, ooh, do you think this is going to be low scoring because you have Christian Watson at 23, you have DJ Moore at 24? First of all, you're still starting them. I don't know what league that you drafted in where your 23rd and 24th overall ranked wide receivers aren't even in your lineup. Maybe an 8-team, 2 wide receiver league. I don't know. But the reason is it's the uncertainty. If week 1, I want to, something Jeff Ratcliffe, I brought him up on the show the other day, is something he says all the time is you want to take as many decisions possibly out of your hands because more decisions leads more possibility for mistakes. That's what we're trying to avoid. Week 1, I want certainties. That's why I don't like Elijah Moore. Can Elijah Moore outscore Donovan Peoples-Jones? Absolutely. No question about it. But I want what I know. I want backfields I know. I want usage I know. Of course, there's going to be some scenarios you're not going to be able to completely avoid it. But what do I know? I know Chris Godwin is out there 100% of the time, has shown to be quarterback proof. What I don't know is if Jordan Love is going to continue to target Christian Watson like Aaron Rodgers did. So I would start Godwin over Christian Watson. Is there more upside with Watson? Absolutely. Is there more upside with DJ Moore? Sure, if he catches 420 a touchdown. But I know these scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm not going to argue. It's a guy in the slot that's going to get a lot of targets, right? And it's probably a more fantasy-friendly game than the Bears and the Packers. I think both teams want to run the ball, right? We know that Chicago wants to run the ball.
Yeah.
But Green Bay, I think that they're going to.
Well, if you're talking pace and plays facing the Bears, it's not like they have an amazing defense.
No,
but
it's improved, but it's not. It's not fantastic. So. No, this is what I'm talking about off the top. Flowers is a new shiny toy. Jaden Addison. These guys I'm excited about them. We've drafted them. We talked about them. Zay Flowers is my highest too, and I have him at I'm at 48. Like, there's a lot of guys that I'm starting over Zay Flowers. It doesn't mean I don't like Zay Flowers, but this is a new offense. And as much as we think that they will throw the football, they're probably still going to run a lot with Lamar and Andrews as the number one guy there. So Zay Flowers could be. There's this, this people overreact all the time. Week 1. What if the snap counts are like Andrews 95%, Odell Beckham 87%, Bateman's 85%, and Zay Flowers is like 45%. Everyone's going to drop Zay Flowers.
Oh, even 45. Yeah.
Like, I know that's low, but Amon-Ra, remember Amon-Ra's rookie year? Nobody even, like, this guy couldn't even touch the field for the first few weeks. And
people are picking Amon-Ra to say Brown off waivers in the middle of the season.
Oh yeah, he was immediately dropped because he couldn't touch the field. It's gonna take maybe a couple games for these rookie wide receivers to get implemented in their offense. It's not over yet.
Yeah. So again, it also this is another one to real quick to go into strategy. Spend less time on strategy going forward and more on the ranks, but a lot of your decisions are already made depending on who you drafted and when you drafted them. But in week 1 too is I get the question all the time is like, well, my team is this. Should I play the risk or the safety? So it really depends. There's like so many. It's dynamic, really. Like there's not like you have blank, you should start this. So like people are like, well, my team is great, so I just should take the safe option. Maybe. Like I say, evaluate your team. Look at your team. If you're like, wow, I have a bunch of boomer bust guys, your answer is kind of already there. It doesn't even matter who you're facing. If you have a bunch of boomer bust, you might as well just go all in with boomer bust. Like a safe guy isn't going to help that kind of team. But if you have a stud of a team, if you're like, ooh, I have a top 3 team, my decision in my 3rd spot, and I know you probably don't have this decision, but just to throw it out there, Chris Godwin versus Christian Watson. Like, you go for the upside depending on who you're facing. Like, so it's like, hey, I'm facing this dude that doesn't even know what they're doing. They drafted a kicker in the 4th round. Like, whatever. Like, just take the points with Chris Godwin because you already have a stud of a team. But if it's like the two juggernauts that are going head to head against each other, go for the upside of Christian Watson. So it's like it's all relative. But that's what I'm saying. Is evaluate your team. Don't like just base it purely on the players. And don't look at the projections. Please don't look at your projections on your site and be like, well, I'm projected for 140. He's projected for 120. I guess I should just play this. No. Projections, like, this is why I hate projections in this season. Like, season long, fine. I hate weekly projections, even though I do them and I have to do them. I hate them because...
But yours are more on point than, like, NFL.com, which is, like, video game-like numbers. And
sure.
Christian Watson's going to get 28 fantasy points, like,
sure.
in a standard setting.
I wonder that. There's, like, some really wide ranges on some of these sites.
There really are. It is, yeah.
So, all right, let's continue to a few more decisions that people have to make. Is there any world where you're thinking about Treylon Burks in week 1?
Nope. I guess it's because I don't have them. I don't have them like anywhere. Maybe that's a mistake, but I don't have any Treylon Burks. I don't think that
Treylon Burks or Odell Beckham.
You always put me in a situation where maybe I actually think about Treylon Burks. I will go
OBJ.
Odell Beckham.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go OBJ.
Treylon Burks or Elijah Moore. How about that one?
That's another good one.
Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I mean Treylon. He's on the field, but is he 100%? They want to run the football. I don't think they're going to have a lot of success, even though it's Henry against the Saints. I would go with Elijah Moore.
Okay. I'm getting choked up over here.
I got him. Choked up.
I was trying to hold it down, and then it just like is one of the like I felt it coming. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna fight it. I failed.
You probably read the message.
I lost
from
that
Nathan.
battle.
He said one guy drafted 2 kickers in a league that he's in. So that's
good.
Probably,
You deserve to. No, hey, you like
choke up a bit.
Deserves to lose. Good on him. All right. I have 2 must starts at running back. I think must starts. And the reason I want to bring these 2 up is because we say start all your studs. But I think these 2 come into the conversation where you might be able to bench somebody for them. And I'm going to throw one out. Throw him out immediately. I had Dameon Pierce as a top 15 running back. Week 1, I would start Mostert and Jamal Williams over him.
Yes. I mean,
you don't disagree?
No, I mean, this is the week. Those are the 2 perfect
This is
guys.
the way.
If you have a Kamara, you have a Taylor, maybe you have Javonte Williams, and you're a little bit hesitant to roll him out week 1.
I have Javonte Williams at 31.
Yeah, I'm hesitant.
No idea. Breece Hall behind him.
Yeah, those other guys too. Like I would start Mostert and Jamal Williams over Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook.
Well, so here I'll give you 20. I'll give you 20 through. Let's keep going here. 20 through 30. I just get these 10. Boom. Here we go. Tell me if you have a problem or your biggest one. You can write them down if you have 2 problems. If you have more than that, then maybe 99, and I got none. Mostert at 20.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams at 21. Like, I don't understand why more people aren't on Jamal Williams at week 1. No Alvin Kamara, and Kendra Miller's hurt. Like, he's banged up. He's probably going to play, but, like, and he's a rookie that barely got any touches in the preseason. Like,
I don't know. Maybe they didn't learn anything from last year. This guy led the NFL in rushing touchdowns.
I know. Are we playing the Titans defense, run defense match? Which, again, I go back to the chicken and the egg argument. Was it really that their run defense was that good, or is it just everybody threw all over him and then didn't spend that much time running the ball? Anyway, all right. Mostert, Williams, Ken Walker the third. I don't know the usage in week 1. Like, I think he's the lead, but I think Charbonnet's a real threat, and they still like DJ Dallas and other options. So anyway, Ken Walker, baking in the risk. Also, against the Rams defense, they still have somewhat of a defense. Still have to face Aaron Donald. So going from there, Dameon Pierce at 23 against Baltimore. That's part of the reason too. James Conner against Washington. Now there's a good defense and an offense that might be trash. That's why I'm worried about James Conner. James Cook right behind him. Usage, not sure. Still want to see. Khalil Herbert down at 26. And people are, oh, you love Khalil Herbert. It's playing the factors against Green Bay. What is going to be run heavy? Is it going to be Rashawn Johnson? Like, I want to see 1 week play out. If I can. I would love to start Khalil Herbert, but I think he deserves to be there. David Montgomery against the Chiefs. Brian Robinson down here. Isaiah Pacheco way down here because, again, we already talked about him. And then Antonio Gibson to round it out. Where do you have a problem?
I don't. I'm looking at your ranks now. I don't have a problem with any of this. I think the Herbert thing makes sense. Like, the whole thing why you liked Herbert.
I want to put Herbert higher. Like, my heart wants to put Herbert higher. But
it just, one thing we talked about is we feel like it's going to be a rotation, but, like, skill set will overtake, like, over time. Again, that's why, like, Herbert, like, it will, maybe Deontay Foreman is getting a couple touches week 1, and then they realize, like, why are we giving Deontay Foreman all these touches? Like, we have a guy in Herbert and Rashawn Johnson knocking on the door. Like, let's just roll with these two guys. I have no issue with any of this. I mean, Mostert is the guy right now. He is the guy. Jeff Wilson is on IR. There's nobody else really to consider in that backfield. And the same thing with Jamal Williams. Like, this is his backfield. This is the Saints knew this was happening. Right? They drafted a guy. They knew Kamara was probably going to get a suspension. They signed Jamal Williams coming off a good season. He can catch out of the backfield as well. He's probably going to be, I could see him. I agree with your rankings, but I could see him finishing as a borderline RB1 this week. Jamal Williams.
I could. All right. Well, then let me go up to one. That's probably the toughest. And I want to rank him lower because of the uncertainty, but I feel like I'm being insane if I go, like, I almost feel like a hater if I go further. Ken Walker, to me, like, are we really certain that he walks straight into week 1 with Pete Carroll and gets 65% of the work? 60% of the work.
I'm not certain of that. I don't think we can be. It's they just drafted a running back in the 2nd round in Charbonnet a year after they drafted Walker in the 2nd round. So I think, benefit of the doubt, 60% of the snaps, like 60-40 of the touches, but it could be right away. It could be something that we're talking about on Monday as, hey, this is a timeshare immediately. And this is
okay. Well, then Chris Meaney's team, Chris Meaney's lineup, Chris Meaney's sitting there on Sunday, putting players in. You have your RB2 spot, and that's it, because you put a flex in wide receiver. I'm painting this entire scenario for you. You have to choose. Your RB2 spot is Ken Walker versus Khalil Herbert. Who do you put in that spot, Chris Meaney?
I don't want to contradict myself here, but I probably would put Walker in just because of the matchup and the points in Seattle. I'm just leaning with
decision.
That. It is, of course, it's a tough decision.
Dameon Pierce or Ken Walker?
I would go
again. Pierce. You would?
Yeah.
In Baltimore?
I know it's Baltimore, but I just know he's going to touch the ball a ton. But
my only concern is this late news that, like, we sat there the entire preseason and Dameon Pierce was a 3-down running back. I brought this up on the other shows. You brought it up in the fact he lost weight from running routes. He's like, I'm losing pounds. Like, I'm running all these routes and it's great and blah, blah, blah. Like, and then we get reports right before we hit the season last week that say they're going to use the rotation. And in this game where it could potentially get behind and have to pass more, that's my only concern. Like, I hopefully nobody has to make this kind of decision. But how about this one? We've got a few minutes left. You have to make the decision, Chris Meaney, because it's your stupid ass team. Who's your running back for the Eagles? Is it Swift or is it Penny?
Oh my goodness. I think it's Swift. This This is just going to be a mess all year long. It really is. I think Gainwell's going to get the first couple touches, and it's just going to be all situation football. It's, if this team is up in the second half, I think we're going to see some Penny. I don't think that they're really going to be down at any significant moment, which does benefit Swift. Man, I just think Swift has the highest ceiling of the bunch, but I don't think he's going to get much goal line work. This is why we stayed away from it. This is why I have 0 shares of Swift. I don't have any Penny. I have a couple shares of Gainwell. I'm not starting him. I just think he could be the last man standing at the end of the day once we get into the meat of the season. But I suppose if you're shooting for upside, I would rank them Swift, Penny, and then Gainwell, because Penny may get a goal line.
Actually,
touch.
that's what I did. So there you go. All right. In this same game, pick a Patriots wide receiver.
I don't want to. I think the biggest issue for the Eagles this year defensively will be in the slot. I think that they're going to have trouble with slot wide receivers, and I think they're going to have trouble with tight ends. I know that Goddard, Goddard had an unbelievable camp against. That's all
Hunter
the
Henry?
beat writers were talking about. And I think it was mostly because, Goddard's good, but they just don't have the linebackers. The corners are great. They can get after the quarterback, but in the middle of the field is where they really struggle. In particular, the Chiefs ate them up in the Super Bowl in the middle of the field. So I could see Juju. I would start over any of them. I would not touch Parker. I think we could see some targets from, both tight ends. But somebody asked me the other day if they should sit Ramondre because the Eagles' defense being stout. I wouldn't.
Don't draft Ramondre
at all. And even if he does struggle to rack up some rushing yards,
then go buy low.
This is why we liked
the
him.
passing game.
Yeah, his usage through the air. He was top 5 in catches and targets.
Jordan Addison,
so
rookie Jordan Addison, or Juju Smith-Schuster in week 1.
I think I would go with Juju. It's the only Patriot guy pass catcher that I really trust, and I really feel like we'll get more than a few catches. But I am worried about Juju overall. I think I would try to, if he had a good week 1, I would try to sell him. I read something that his knee is just quote unquote wash, but we'll see what happens.
All those years riding that bike. It should have just Uber places or something.
So a lot of bike riding.
Blew out his knee riding bikes. All right, so I'm assuming you don't want to start any Giants wide receivers, but if you had to, deeper leagues. We have some deeper league followers. They're like Darius Slayton.
I like Slayton. I like Hodgins. I like Isaiah Hodgins. There's a rapport that it's going to carry over, I think.
I just don't like the fact that he was the 3rd option in the preseason. They just kept pulling Paris Campbell. Now it might have been health with Paris Campbell, but I think the true answer is Darren Waller. So how about this one?
Waller is in for a big year.
Would you play the waiting game, or would you risk starting? It should be a high-scoring affair unless the defenses both show up and shock us, which could happen. I mean, it's a divisional game. It's Monday Night Football. Defense galore. This could end up turning to be a 16-10 annoyance. And I say
really
16-10 because 16, that's 3 field goals, which would just piss me the living hell off. But would you start a Jets running back? We don't know Breece Hall. We don't know Dalvin Cook. It's going to be a Michael Carter game. This is going to be a Bonaconda game, Wakanda Forever game.
I got Breece in the 30s. I got Cook even. I got Cook.
Why don't I see any of the team names Bonaconda Forever? I'm going to change my team into Bonaconda Forever.
It's golden. I'm surprised that. Yeah, did you just come up with that?
I think so. I mean, I've heard Wakanda Forever with Bonaconda. Nobody's ever said Bonaconda Forever. I don't think anybody's ever really put
forever,
that. No, I got Bijan Robinson, so I had to make my team Bijan for men. So there you go.
Yeah. Bijan for men is fantastic. I think I said this in the summer that Rodgers and all those primetime games, and remember when they did it for Russell Wilson last year, and we thought this is going to be electric football, and they were the worst offense in all of football, and the primetime games are just snooze fests. Allen's really struggled against the Jets over the last couple of years, and I think that Rodgers is going to have a tough time as well.
Bench Josh Allen week 1.
Going to be a high scoring game. No, I mean you're playing him, but I wouldn't play Rodgers. I play Garrett Wilson. You're playing Diggs. But yeah, I would lean with Breece, but I think I'd play Jerick McKinnon over him if Travis Kelce didn't play enough.
You know what the funny thing is? I mean, it doesn't matter. The top 6, 7 quarterbacks, you're starting them. But I mean, I did have Josh Allen 5th this week behind Herbert, Lamar. Hurts and Mahomes just for that
Yeah,
reason.
and even Hurts, like the matchup isn't. New England's a defense that you should respect. Bill Belichick obviously has had weeks to prepare for this, but
Well,
tough
you heard it here
matchups for some
first.
of these
Bench Hurts
quarterbacks.
and Josh Allen in week 1 from Chris Meaney. Just kidding. It would be great if somebody just tuned in right now.
love and
Like,
howl.
never coming back.
Never
Make
coming
sure.
back. Yeah, you play your studs. Rewind it to the start. You play your studs.
Make sure you're following Chris Meaney at Chris Meaney over at FTN. All the tools and things will definitely help. Over the Athletic, the $1 a month is running out. It's about to be kickoff time, which means you're starting your lineups, but also that $1 a month, $12 a year is almost gone. We're going to be back on Monday instead of Tuesday. We were off Monday because it was Labor Day. So Monday at 10:30, talk week 1 waivers and frustrations. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them. Everybody's going to want to quit their league already. But we're here. We're here to help you win championships, take home the trophies and the titles. Make sure you subscribe using the web link if you're having problems. And if you are having problems, tell Apple to go kick rocks or just file a complaint. There you go. It's on the screen. Report the
there you
concern.
go.
We love you guys. Week 1 is here. Woo! Yay!
Finally. Good
Full
luck.
celebrations. Get me out of here, Fox. Let's go.